is your last unit exam for the quarter. So, as you're working your way through, and we've heard from multiple people who go, well, my test grade was low here, and etc. My quiz grade was low, for whatever reason. And understand, now is the time to struggle. This is, if you're going to show me that you know it, and I mean know it, this is a chance for you to write maybe an opportunity to excel if you don't think that you've really reached your potential so far. Here's another opportunity, but you have to know it. And there's a big difference. I was actually talking with the fourth period the other day. There's things that you know, and then there's things that you have passing familiarity with. You know your address. You know your phone number. You should know what 2 times 5 is. Those are things that you're rock solid on. You've got to know, not passing familiarity, but know what a log is. And that comes from excessive practice. You've got to know how to solve different types of log equations and what the equations are calling for you to do. And is there a lot? Absolutely. But don't kid yourself. The other end of it was this. Think about it this way. Even if we were to discuss this, if you even got a 7, and somebody freak out over a 7, think for a minute. 70 means you are getting 7 out of 10 questions completely correct. 7 out of 10. And do I give you powder puff questions? 70% is perfectly respectful. I don't know why. Again, would you take let's say this. Would you take a doctor that got a heart surgery right 7 out of 10 times? Probably. That's way more than 50-50. Would you play the lotto if you had a 70% chance of winning? No. You're doing a lot. You're showing that you know a bunch. Now, we look at this first question, and looking at what's there, this is kind of interesting that we don't even see what this answer means. Hands up, please, if you can tell me what the answer to that first question means. What does the number mean? Not what's the number. What does it mean? What?
It's log 364 to 1 minus log 32.
You could do that, by the way. I didn't think of that. That's actually one way of getting to an answer on this. You could separate it, but you're going to get a number. What does that number mean? What? So stop for a minute, and yes, I know. The goal is not for you to fall in love with Texas Instruments here. Although we have had people before who have actually, a couple years ago, a student, I didn't know, stole a calculator. Sent me a picture. They took their calculator out to a Valentine's Day dinner at Burger King. Candles and everything. Oh, yes. Candles, the whole deal. They said, you tell us we're not supposed to love the calculator. I'm fighting a forbidden love. Now, the goal is not for you to love these calculators. Maybe you can take it, and that, by the way, is another thing. Student before took their calculator with mom. Had mom or mom or dad, someone made like a little dress for it. They took it to the prom, they put little arms on it, and took pictures of themselves. And they went to an after party, camping. Now, think about this, and it's not going to be easy because it's a 2-step process. What power do I have to raise 64 to so I can get 1 over 32? Think about breaking 64 down to make it be into 1 over 32. Hands up, please. I don't need you to go to the calculator to figure it out. You should, especially if you're going to pre-calculate rich next year, you should be able to say 64 to this power is going to give me 1 over 32. Think about it. And it's okay. Because again, when you miss, you may miss. We'll walk our way through. It's okay to miss. And it's not going to be some single integer value. Now, process what that is. If I take 64 to the negative 1/2, 64 to the 1/2 power would be what? 8. And then to the negative 1/2 power would be what? 1 over 8. So we're getting close. We need it to be 1 over 32. You can't do it all at one step. So you got to break it down into parts. Think about what you have to break it down. It's got another idea. Now, If I take the 4th root of 64, that's saying what times itself 4 times is going to give me 64. Is that a number that we know? What times itself 4 times gives you 64? We don't know. Something off. You can break it down. It's the smallest base you can get 64 down to. Hands up, please, when you can answer that. Smallest base you can break 64 down into. 2. What power do you have to raise to get 64 down to a 2? Hands up, please, when you can tell me. No?
6.
Close. Well, maybe the way I said it. What power do you need to raise 64 to so it becomes a 2? 1/6. And now how can I go? So if I raise this 64 to the 1/6 power is going to give me a 2, right? What power do I need to raise that to get me to here? Close. Someone mumbled it, and you're all so good at this, mumbling. Hands up, let's do this. Instead of just randomly, we all sound like there's some sort of math disorder where we're shouting uncontrollable. Vocal spasm. You can raise your hand if you can tell me, what power do I need to raise to in order to get to 132? There's too many things in this. And you know that's common science, is that right? You got MIT, right? I'm an English student. What? -5. So what power do I need to raise this to make it all happen at once? -5/6. Why? Think about power over root. What's the 6th root of 64? What is it? 2. Then raise 2 to the 5th power, which would be what? What's 2 to the 5th? You don't need a calculator. 32. We need 1 over 32. So what's 2 to the -5th power going to be? 1 over 32. Take a look at the next question. Now this is going to be awkward initially. The answer is 3 to this power gives me the square root of 27. By the way, what's the square root of 27? We don't know. What can I do to that square root? Hands up, please, when you can tell me. Careful. I'm going to say keep the 27 there. What is the square root as a fractional power? 1/2. 1/2. What can I do now that I have this to the 1/2 power? Walk us, and again, you may not know, that's fine. Do something though. You can move the 1/2 to a coefficient. So 1/2 times log base 3 of 27. All of a sudden I'm feeling really good about this. Why? Oh my. All of a sudden I'm feeling very good about this, and all of you should. If you don't, you're behind where you need to be in order to be successful. Look at what's there. You can go forward. What? Perfect. 3 to this power gives me 27. So now you've got 1/2 times 3, which would be 3/2. And yes, I get you can type this blindly into the calculator. It doesn't show me you know much. Where I'm not asking if Texas Instruments knows it, I'm asking if you do. Questions on that? This next one is actually the easiest one you've got so far. And you're right. Here's another thing. Instead of sitting here and complaining, oh, we haven't done a question that looks exactly like this, and I have to be mama bird and regurgitate the worm into your mouth, go through and say, what can I do that's up there? So you tell me, what? You can't. I'd like to stay away from that because that almost makes it too much. You're right to see that, though. What can I do that's up here now? What? Absolutely right. This power, we can evaluate out. So this is 4 to the 3rd. What can you do now? There's more than one path to go forward. So Sam, what can you do from here? Okay, so this is now 3 times log base 2 of 4. What can we do now from here? Ben? So what's your answer going to be? Questions on that? If you put that log base 2 of 8 in the front, then you could go through and simplify. I just wanted us to see what that power is first, though. Take a look at the next one. And again, I haven't given you this one before. It doesn't mean by any means you can't do it. Bottom left, what are you going to do to go forward and get an answer for that? No calculator. What is it? What would you do? What? Division. What are you dividing? $192 over what? What can you simplify out? Cricket, this hurts my feelings. You're going to see today, by the way, there's some numbers that are going to show up constantly. Really? Thank you. Log base 4 of 64. Hands up, please, when you can answer that. Wow.
Base 4 of 64 is equal to 3.
This 4 to the third gives me that. Logs are equal to exponents. Understand that. Logs equal exponents. Questions on that? What are you going to do to go forward, loves, in 16 to the log base 4 of 8 power? What? You can't. Because it's not. You could if it was an exponent in a log. You can't right now. You can do something with it.
What this word is.
Boy, that's good. Watch what that's saying. 4 to this power gives me 8. So let's process that. 4 to this power gets me 8. Now, I can't square it. I can't square root it. Let's process this. Well, we can't. Sorry. We can do all those things. It's not going to work as towards 8. It's going to be multiple steps. So how did you know that that was going to be 3 over 2? Walk us through why. So that means if I take 4 to the 1/2 times something is going to have to give me 8. What's the square root of 4? You said 2. And then do what to that to get 8? So this is the same as 16 to the 3/2 power. What would you do to evaluate that out, Tommy? Okay. Who can walk us through? Ben? How?
It would be 4 to 4 to 16, that's a square, and then times another 4 to 64.
You can give me a tighter way, a little more direct. Tom?
You take the square, or you can take the square root of 16 and then you cube it.
Power over root, so what's the square root of 16? Cube? You got that over on the other side. You're going to see that number a lot today. Let's bounce down to question number 3, and no, we're not going to be able to do all of them. Whatever we don't do, you can try to practice tonight. Look at number 3. I'm expanding that out. How many logs am I going to need when I fully expand this out? Hands up, please. I'm going to make my initial expansion, blow the whole thing up, and be careful. Make sure you're accounting for everything. Careful, not 3. It's going to be 4. Because what terms are getting their own log? The 8, the x, the y, and the z. All of them do. Look for every product, and you're going to expand it out. So this will be log base 2. There's an 8. There's going to be a log base 2 of x squared. There's going to be a log base 2 of the root y. And then there's going to be a log base 2 of the z. Now, let's start filling in. What goes between, let's do this. McKenna, what operations between these two? Here? Here? Now, we can actually do 3 more steps right now. Who can tell me what one of the 3 things I'm going to have to do to make this all the way expanded? Yep? You gave me the toughest one. And if you saw that, that's outstanding. Log base 2 of 8 is 3. And make sure we're saying it correctly. Log base 2 of 8 is 3. What else can we go through and expand out even more than what's up there?
could log base 2 of x squared, you could take the 2 and bring it to the 3.
So the power becomes a coefficient. What else? We got one more, and I want you to blow it up all the way, not a little bit. There's one more part on here. And you all, I guess, from our conversations, it seems like you're struggling with making this connection. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay?
The square root of y you can make for 1/2 and move it to 1.
He did two things at once there perfectly. That shows me you've got a good idea of what's going on. I'd start off and say this is to the 1/2 power, but that 1/2 power can go down front, so log base 2 of y, and we get to here. Questions on that? Yep. Log base 2 of z? Oh, it's z, sorry. You know what they used to do? They put the little line through it. Some people do that. Yes, what's log base 2 of 2? 1. Not use z? Sure. Or maybe I should write better. That was somebody said that. That's a nice way to start off your day, by the way. When you do all this and someone goes, you should make your z's different. They're ugly. Oh, all right. How do you think that makes me feel about myself inside? You're monsters. I don't even know if you guys are, but they would. Take a look at 5. You're condensing this down to a single logarithm. One thing to make sure you're not overdoing it, it says single logarithm. So how many times are you writing log? Once. Now, we can do multiple simplifications, but we get to here. You're telling me what the argument of the log is, that big mess, and there's a ton going on. You can simplify that down. Who can tell me what they think this argument is going to condense down into? Look at all that's there. There is a lot there, and you may miss parts of it. It's fine. Then give it a try.
Log base 5 xy to the 4th over z squared.
Hang on. Oh, no. You're going to 4. We're on 5. Sorry. And if you did this, just so you know, I don't know if this is what you said or not. This would be log base 5 of x times y to the 4th all over z squared. Ugly z. All right, look at number 5. There's a lot going on, and this requires multiple steps. You're not going to be a one-step hero on this. What do you want to say? Boy, that's good. 2x over y, and then square it. He handled the first component of it. What else needs to happen? Yeah? We can do that all in one step, but that's outstanding if you saw that. Because she said it's 3 times 5 squared, or 3 times 25, which is 75. That's where that number came from. Do we have questions on what we have now? Our next step is to keep going forward. You don't stop. Now, this, I love it. We're already packing up on this. Get real. Look at what's there. You can keep going. Look at the numerator. What can we do in the numerator on this? Riley, what's the numerator going to become? And we're still dividing by 75. What's this called? Louder. It's a complex fraction, a fraction inside of a fraction. What can we do to make this not be some awkward complex fraction anymore? No? I mean, you could, like multiply through by an LCD. Look at what you got. Read what's there. The numerator divided by the denominator, you know? No? And right now we're taking the numerator and we're dividing it by 75. What can you do that's the same as dividing by 75? Multiply by the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal we're going to multiply this by?
4x squared over y squared multiplied by 75 over 1. Or 1 over
1 over 75. Now hopefully that's not too much for us. So this becomes the log of 4x squared all over 75. Y squared. Does 4 over 75 reduce? Here's a way to check. Type it in your calculator and press enter. 4 over 75. Does it reduce? Yes or no? Has everyone logged in? If not, go through and do so. Does it reduce? Does x squared over y squared reduce? Now, this is going to show me, these right now should be so easy. So easy. Because you should by now have done enough of them. And these show the two-way street. What's your first step going to be? Top left, hands up. We got 1, 3, 5. We're better. 6, 7. Marissa T, what do you want to do?
Divide by 2.
I ask this in an exponential equation, especially for those of you who are struggling. Circle the base and the exponent. This right here is what you're trying to get along. So Marissa correctly told us, what do we do to make that happen? Well, we divide by 2. So we've got e to the 0.5x power is equal to, and I love it, you're going to be going to the calculator so much more than you need to. You write out 45 over 2. What do you do now? You don't need to find it in the way 45 over 2. We don't need the decimal any of that garbage. Fine. What do we do now? This shows me how ready you are. If you don't know this, you better put some serious time in between now and the next time when we meet. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us, 6. You've got a good read as to what you, and there's multiple ways. 7, 8. Philip, what do you want to say? Absolutely. Now, what are you right now?
Natural log of 25.
Nope. It's always equal to the exponent. So if you need to write equals the exponent, do it.
45.
Yeah. If you need to write equals to the exponent before you fill in the other part, do it. Now, what did you put on your paper? You're not wrong.
Well, you can do it right.
No, said the math lab. Like it's a dark overlord. You're not wrong. What's an alternate way of writing this? Like I said, there's more than one way to do this. You could have something else on your paper and be entirely correct. Did you say you know? Who knows? 5, 6, come on. So that's what? Log base E of 45 over 2. Why did, Philip, was this you who gave this? Why did you say, was it or not? Why did you pick natural log as opposed to log base E? Who can tell me why he did that? He didn't hit on it. He knows what it is, though. Log with the base of E is a natural log. What is the base of a logarithm when we don't fill it in? Hands up when you can answer that. Yeah. 10. It's called a common log versus a natural log. Both of these will give you the same value. What do you need to do to proceed forward from here? Kirsten, what's next? This is why I laugh that you go to the calculator like at every step. It's like a toddler with a pacifier. You can't go anywhere without your pinky. Now, go in. Everyone's logged in. Log in if you haven't. Go into your calculators right now. Type in, and you do it all at once. Control division. Natural. Perfect. Now, go into your calculator and do control division. Log base E of 45 halves divided by. Do it all at once. Do it all in one step. Oh. Divided by 0.5. What do I know about those two answers? They're the same. How can you check your answer to make sure you never get the question wrong? What? What feature do you want to use? You could do it as a truth statement. You could do it as an end solve. It doesn't matter. Find something to get it right and to confirm your answer. And on a multiple choice question on the read, they will ask you questions that are explicitly calculator only. Which means you can do end solve, you can graph both halves and see where they intersect. Doesn't matter. They had one. An exponential set equal to some polynomial. There's no algebraic way to solve it. Only a coordinate way or graphing method. At which point you plug the two graphs in and see where they cross. Find the intersection point. You could have just plugged it in the smart ones, just use end solve. Questions on this? Now, take a look at the second question. What are we going to do? And hopefully we can pick it. Oh, by the way, what did this come out to be? Amanda P., what was your answer? Second question, what are we going to do to start this off? Marissa T.? So I've got the natural log of the quantity 3x is now equal to 2. What do we do now from here? Nick?
Well, can we write it first?
Yep.
Yeah.
What is?
Well,
Oh,
basically,
sure.
I just
Perfect. And the thing is, you've got to not only find what works for you, the problem with the natural log is people forget what the base is. So now we're to here, what do you want to write now? Let's ask this, and the pause is good. Are we stuck in log form, yes or no? Yeah, we don't know what to do next. So what can we do if we're stuck in this form? If you're stuck, what can you do? Pammy? Exponentiate it. What is this going to be in exponential form? Pammy? E squared equals 3x. So now are we still stuck? Because one of those ways is going to work. You're stuck in a log, go to an exponential. You're stuck in exponential, convert to log. Divide both sides by 3. So go into your calculator, take control division, e squared, divide by 3. What is that going to leave us? Hands up, please, when you can tell me. Yep. 2.5. Wonderful. Can you check? Absolutely. Let's look at the next one. And this one, I'd expect truly enriched kids aren't going to need their calculator for this last one, for this next one. Anthony, what are you doing to start this one off? So I've got the log base 6 of the quantity a plus 8 is equal to what? -1. What's next? Grace? Look at the form that you're in right now. So what are you going to write it out as? Now, I'm going to go right into this. Instead of, and you don't need a calculator to do this, engage your mind. She just said 6 to what power? -1. Hands up when you can tell me what 6 to the negative first is. 1/6. Now, this is the part that for me is so vexing because they tell me, we've got all these enriched kids coming, they're great, they've done all this work, and middle school happened, which I'm still shaky on. You can do this without a piece of plastic. What needs to happen in order for us to solve for A right now? What's the next step? What? Subtract 8. Now, normally I'd say, all right, 1/6 minus 8. Now, before you go, again, to the plastic, stop and engage your mind. You've got to take 1/6 and subtract 8 from it. You can always use the calculator to help, but stop and think. How would you do that? What would you do if you had 1/6 minus 8? What would you have to do in order to do that, in order to get an answer for that? One person? 2? 3? Come on, what? Yeah, you could. No? What do we have? Common denominator. Okay. What's your common denominator? Oh, okay. So you're saying put that, sorry. I was thinking you were doing some sort of cross multiplication with this. Okay. Now, what is 8 with the denominator of 6? Hands up, please. You can tell me what 8 is. How many sixths? Think about, what is it? Pizzas. You've got pizzas, right? How many 6 slices of pizza? This is what I mean. That was anything. What? Who's ordering 8 pizzas? It's enough. A lot of people, right. Who can tell me what 8 is in terms of 6? 48. So now I've got 1/6 minus, instead of 8, we've got 48/6. What's 1/6 minus 48/6 going to leave me with? What? Boy, I needed the calculator for that. Get real. And another thing that you get, and again, and I always go back because I get what you're saying, but some of this has to be you being a problem solver. We have not done a question like the next one. But at the same time, if you don't know your stuff, obviously you're not going to be able to do it anyways. We can't cover every possible thing, but I'm going to give you the tools to make sure that you can do every single question. You can answer that question right now. Who can tell me what we would do to answer out the question that we currently have? I've got 1, 2. Take a step. This shows up on your exam, on the read. You're not going to panic. You're not going to sit there and go, I can't do it. He never showed. He's a horrible. He's a monster. He's loud, too, and he had a deck of cards and he called on us every day, mercilessly. And we didn't get extra credit. He didn't give us cupcakes. It was so much easier before. He's a dementor. What?
Why did you rewrite it as 6 equals 1 with 2 left?
What'd you say? Yes, you didn't. You missed one little thing because I don't want to miss anybody. 6 to the first equals log base 2 of x. Now, she went right in because you know 6 to the first is that. Now, he's stupid, I know it. And he would call on me and sometimes I didn't know. He would wait. He was soulless. That was my favorite one time when we had a parent meeting and the lady looked at me and she goes, you have no soul. I was like, really? Thank you, I guess. I'm glad that I'll say this, I love that I at least elicited emotion. So what do you say to that? You have no soul. All right? As I say, I go, all right. These are the things I can't imagine was said about me at home, if that's what they're going to do. But very well, they make a turkey and put my face on it and cut that up for Thanksgiving dinner. What are we doing? Yeah. Oh, but have you done this question before? Oh, okay. By the way, what's 2 to the 6? What's 2 to the 6? Oh, come on. Plug that in the calculator and check it. How about the next one? Be a problem solver. You tell me. There's so many ways we can go forward. So many ways. And if I tell you no, it doesn't necessarily mean you're wrong. It's just not the most efficient way. We got 3, 4 of us. Sean, Al, what do you want to do? Do something. Oh, you mean blow? That would make things. You can't. It's going to make some huge poly, though. You can't. Yes. No. Let's bring the 3 down front. So 3 times the natural log of the quantity 2x minus 4. Doesn't that look easier for us? Hopefully it does. Now it fits another type. Mickey, what are you going to do from here?
5 by 3.
So what do you got now?
Natural log of 2x minus 4 equals 2.
What do we do now? Philip? So what are you going to write it as?
So the second equals 2x minus 4.
Now, don't go to the calculator. We'll go to it at the end. What do you do to get your answer from here? John? So e squared plus 4 is equal to 2x. Can you keep going or are you tired? Okay, what are you going to do? Now go to the calculator and compute that out all at once. It's easier. You're not constantly plugging stuff in. You can tell me, please, what this is going to come out to be rounded appropriately. Marissa D. Just so you know, when I ask for confirmation of your answers, I need you to tell me so I don't have this done out ahead of time. 5.7 is that what we got?
Yeah.
Somebody said that too this morning. Go, do you not? What am I not good enough? You always ask other people if the answer's right. Yes, I only ask for one person. You specifically, I don't trust. Everyone else is wonderful. You, not you. Now, this was another one that came up. There's a rectangle there. When you try to convert Microsoft Word into these stupid Google Docs, you can see my joy. Things don't always work out wonderfully. Now, what are we going to do to solve for x to start off in this? It's supposed to be a multiplication sign. Replace it with a giant awkward rectangle. Wonderful. Obviously, it works great. Corey, what are you going to do to solve for x?
Subtract 5.
I like to see us start off, especially those of you who are struggling, isolate that base exponent pair. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. So now I've got 5 times 3 raised to the quantity x plus 2 plus 2, 100. What do we do now from here, Royce? So we've got 3 raised to the x plus 2, or x over 2 plus 2 equals what? What do we do now? Hands up, please, when you can tell me what's next. Really? If you're stuck now, think it's a whole cycle of, and what? What's the log going to look like? Log with a base of what? Of? Yep. Make sure you're more solid on those conversions. If you need to write it equal to the exponent first, do so. What are we going to, you're not going to the calculator yet. What do we do, Thomas, from here in order to get an answer? What's your next step? You're trying to get this by itself. What do you do? Log base 3 of 20. We're going to do a minus 2 equals x over 2. Keep going. What's your last step going to be? All right, take the whole thing and multiply that by 2. Same thing over here. Those are gone. Go into your calculator. You can type that whole thing in. Make sure it is not the log base 3 of 18. It's the log base 3 of 20. Outside of the argument is a minus 2. You can compute it in 2 steps if that'll help ensure you don't get it wrong. You can do an end solve on it to check what answer did we go through and get. Megan? Would you say 1.5? Okay, thank you. Is that what we got? Okay. How about we look at the next one? This is another one. We haven't done this exactly in class yet. This was one similar to a homework question. Connor, what are you going to do to start out the last one that's a solve? What do you do now from here, Sean K? Close. To drop the log base, it's just going to be 3 to the first is equal to, again, if you're stuck in log form, exponentiate. If you're stuck in exponential, worst case scenario, you erase. That's it. Now we get to this, and I love, some of us have, you're missing the obvious, something that's right in front of you. I start off, and by the way, I would never write out really 3 to the first, because as I'm doing, I say, well, 3 to the first, that's a 3, right? I need to solve for x right now. What am I going to do? This is, again, for me, this is not frustrating, but you're missing something that's right in front of you. A 7th grader can solve this right now. Riley? You could. You could. That's up here. I'm going to reach everyone here. Tom? Nope. 3 as a fraction is 3 over 1. So that way you can take the cross product. You're right. You're going to get to the exact same equation that we were at. This becomes then 2x is equal to 3x minus 9. Letters to the left, numbers to the right. So I'm going to subtract the 3x on both sides. So I've got negative x is equal to negative 9, which means x is equal to 9. Could you go through and check that? Sure. Absolutely. You've got to be willing to take those steps. We did not do this exactly. And notice, by the way, there's only a log on one side. So we can't go through and set arguments equal. Take a look. This one here is beautiful because it's not a calculator-based question. It requires thinking. We need to figure out which one of those choices is equivalent to that one. Look at that expression. What can you do to that expression? Hands up, please, when you can tell me. Look at the original. What can we do? What's an alternate but equivalent way we could write out the original? We got no takers. Seriously? 3? Take a first step. Get used to taking it now. And yes, you could be wrong. There's no trapdoors under your desks. And by the way, that would be so amazing. I'm the first person to get it off. That door opens up. Oh. You just move up a little bit. We have an open seat. Who's underneath it, Miss Landis? supposed to be teaching us and students all the way. Range.
I just walked back up.
What's that? Yeah, and then right, we'll make the person, that would be even better. No fiery pit. We'll just make you fall to the second floor, and then you have to walk all the way back up. You would never get a question wrong again. Never. And you would dread having your card picked. What do we want to do from here? Well,
Rewrite it as log base 10 x to the 4th minus log base 1 to the 1 pound.
now, I'm to here, and this, so far, is absolutely right. I see something else that I want to do at this point. There's two things that I'm going to do. Do you know?
Move to 4.
Or exponent becomes a coefficient. Even that's not a choice. Why? And this is not calculator based.
Log base 10 pounds.
10 to what power gives me 1,000? So this is 3. This is equivalent to it. You can't do that in a calculator, which makes it a good question, because I'm telling you, the Regent's going to pick up all of the outstanding things that this calculator does, and the math it takes away from you. So you have to find new ways to ask the questions. By the way, this even has, remind me to tell you, it has, we did an n-solve, it actually has a polynomial root solver on it as well. So you type in one of those polynomials like we had for our warm-up the other day, where it had 3 roots. You type in the equation and it will just tell you what the roots themselves are. I was talking to a friend, the guy at Gates who teaches remedial Algebra 2, and he had everyone pass his exam or pass their read with at least a 75 or above. Now, remedial means they weren't taking Regents level math. He made them take the Algebra 2 Common Core, and everyone would pass with a 75 or above because they know how to use the calculator. And he actually, on the question, had them, like, let's say the roots are 1, 2, and 3. He said, fine, write down the roots and work your way to the answer. Or work your way to the question. Start with the answer, work your way to the question. If your roots are 1, 2, and 3, who can tell me what the 3 factors of that poly are going to be? If the roots or zeros are 1, 2, and 3, what would the factors of that poly be? We got 1, 2 people who can tell me? No, I need factors. Binomial factors. There you go. And then multiply them together to get the original. It's a two-way street. You can break them down in factor, and then you can go back up, multiply together, go from answers to factors to poly. Now, you're no dummies. You can plug this into your calculator. Go through and do that right now. Plug it in. Get a good look at the graph. I'm not even going to argue. I'm not going to ask you to graph, though, because you're not taught. On a test or a quiz, yes, you need to get graphs. Now, I want you to anticipate you're in my position. What stuff should I tell you to be cautious of if you're graphing this out? Think about it. You're going to see 97 people answering this question. What are the things that you're so sick of seeing at the end of looking at 97 papers? What's one of them, Sean? Don't give me a nub. No arrows on the end. What else do I want to see? Yeah, label the equation you're graphing. What else do you need to see? As many points as you can fit. Table. Graph that out. You're looking at the picture of it right now. Is that correct? Let's answer the questions. You're capable. You're adults. You're capable of going through and graphing out. Give me the table. No nubs. Only scrubs give nubs. Give me full, axes, label them, etc. Sam, what is the equation of the asymptote of this graph? Who can tell me, please? We should be able to pick this up right now. Do you know? Who can tell me what's the equation of my asymptote on this graph? 4 people? Oh, I'm sorry if I get sick right in front of you people, but this is giving me an upset stomach. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. 6. Ben? Thank you. There's a line right here that it's not crossing. What's the domain on this going to be? Scott, Ben, Tommy? Look at the picture. What's the domain and what's the range? What's the range? All of the outputs are used. Now, this I always find so funny. What do we have to do to find the x-intercept?
A to Z.
Thank you. If you're finding the x, you're going to set y to be equal to 0. Now, that means I'd write out 0 equals log base 4 of x plus 1. Now, what would we do, loves, from here? What happens now? How do you find it? What? Yeah, so what's 4 to the 0? 1 is equal to x plus 1. So x is going to equal 0. That means the coordinate would be 0, 0. What's the x-intercept going to be? 16. Ah, got MIT. Now, how do you find the y-intercept? Hands up, please, if you can. I know it's tough. What do you think you do to find the y? Find the y-intercept. Thank you. Set the x equal to 0. One thing I realized by putting this question on that we have not done, and I don't want any tears, that we haven't done in a while. Describe the end behavior. So we'd say as x goes to negative infinity. Now, this isn't an f of x, right? It's a y equals. Is that right? All right. So y goes to, and then the other end is as x goes to positive infinity. What does the y go to? So let's answer both of those questions. Hands up, please, when you can answer either one of them for this function. Who's got one of them? Yeah. What do you say?
If x goes to negative infinity, y goes to negative infinity.
Close. I'm going to table that. We can only, well, who's got the other end of it? What happens as x goes out to positive infinity? McKenna? What's the graph going to? No? That's not going out to positive infinity. That's going out all the way to the right. Who can tell me what's happening as the graph goes all the way out to the right? Yeah. There you go. It's rising unbounded, which means, now it's going slowly. I mean real slowly. But it eventually will hit every possible y value. Now gets to the point where, and you're missing something that's right in front of you, as x goes to negative infinity, what's the y going to? Who's got an answer to that? Philip? Now, I'm going to say, who here do any of you do running or track? That does track. One. John, we'll start with you. You're right. So John, here's you. Okay, ready? You're running out here to the right. The function's rising forever. So, you're good. Now, I say, all right, you're going to run on this rack. You go to run to negative infinity. What's going to happen? He's running, and what does he hit? A wall. Literally, he hits a wall. And what happens when you hit the wall? You're going to fall down? All right. He runs head first into the wall and falls down. What's the problem? As x goes to negative infinity. Y doesn't go to negative infinity. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't exist. By the way, what haven't we done in forever? Functions of the week, I feel like such a schlub. I forgot. We should be on 20 by now, and we're on like 5. I'm sorry, we'll do one when we get back. I want you to read right now. I can't do word problems. Do number 9. Yes, the questions are boring. Buckle up. It's going to be a long ride. You should see the one that's on the test. It might as well be something like from Jane Austen or something. Long, boring, 17 parts. The exact and the question that ended the exam 2 years ago, or the first exam. Long, get over it. This might be the easiest question that we've done all day, especially if you read well, tackle it correctly. Thomas, you said you love it. What are you going to do for this? Who can tell me, please, what we're going to do to answer this question out? This might be the easiest question the whole day. We got 1, 2 of us. That's it? 3? John, what do you say? So H is equal to negative 28,300 times the natural log of 11.5 over 14.7. And we're going to go through and approximate that correctly. You go into your calculator, direct sub, plug in, evaluate, write it, let us know, round it appropriately, please. Just, no, what the final answer is going to be, what the evaluation goes to. Who's got it? One person, seriously? Who's got what this goes to? 6,947.66 feet. Is that right? Okay, thank you. There you go. Read the question, understand there's probably some substitution involved. Read question 10. Read question 10. So the first step going to be in 10. Hands up, please, when you can answer that. First step in 10. What are you going to get? Or what do you need to have down? And this again, you're going to encounter roadblocks. You've got to know your stuff, period. And yes, the course is completely cumulative. 2 people. Sean? Hang on, before I do that, what are you plugging into? What are you...
Well, you're writing the proof formula.
So what's that formula? P. Okay. No?
It's R over N.
Yeah, there's going to be an R over N in it. Who can... And T, what goes here?
1. Yeah.
1 plus. Now, this to me was funny because when people were doing this, they're saying, I need to type, and I'm hearing all this typing. You don't need to type anything in until the end. Nothing. I'm going to make my replacement in now. And Sean, you were right. What are we going to replace in? By the way, if you write the formula, I always ask, particularly if you're struggling, ask yourself, what am I solving for? So what variable out of this whole mess am I solving for? Which one? So understand, nothing gets plugged in for the T, something goes in for everything else. This would give me, Sean was going to tell us, 32,000 is equal to 20,000. And then 1 plus the rate, which is 0.06 over, what's the N on this? 4, so 4T power. Now I'm solving for T. I divide both sides out. What's 32,000 divided by 20,000 going to give me? What is it, 8/5? Is that right? Okay, so this would be 8/5 is going to be equal to this mess. I don't even care what it is. I just know I need to solve for it. I get to here. What do I do to get my answer? What do I do to get my answer? Yeah?
Take 1 plus 0.06 over 4 and raise it to the 1 power.
Nope. Put it in log form. So this is going to be log with a base of 1 plus 0.06 over 4. Then of 8/5 is equal to 4t. What do we do now to get an answer? Yeah. Now, I'm going to tell you this. We went slower than the other class. Type this in and get an answer. We went slower than the other class. They got through almost 4 more questions. What I'm going to do is I'll message you out section 1. Do you get it if it comes to your phone to remind, or do you want Google Classroom? Which one, or both? We'll send it out to remind, so you can go through and watch it. Scrub towards where we left off. What is this going to come out to be, guys? What is it? Did anyone get 17.3?
It should be.
No? What was it?
It's 7.
What'd you say?
7.9.
7 point what? 9?
8.
8, 9? Okay. Now, I'll send that out. Make sure you know your stuff for the next time we meet, guys. I want you to do so well. Brace yourself. Is there going to be reading? Yeah. Is it going to be boring? It's going to be about...
Mr. Matt, would the answer to that be 8 years instead of the nearest year?
Then to the nearest year would be 8 years. Sorry, if we round. We better watch out. Brownie Fairy's going to visit. And watch out for the blank question bear.
Mr. Matt, do you have an answer sequence?
Hang on, section 2. I'll say this right now, if I have section 1. So, I can show you, what I'm going to try to do is send out the answers, because the others group got further. I might just do some of theirs and then try to send that, work from theirs and send it out. I'm not going to have maybe all of it done, but I'll try to have most of it. Okay?